I think that you are probably the most small-minded individual
Let me
I've
tell
ever
you
met
something.
in
I
my
don't give a
life.
crap what you think.
She was just talking about how often you tell her that you hate her.
Tough crap.
I don't
no
see a
discussion.
reasonable man in front of me. Not the man that you described.
Okay, let's go. No, we're done. We're done.
All right, it's time for us to take another look at the other side of this wife swap episode, where we have a super religious family that we are going to be highlighting today, comprised of a father and mother and 2 kids. They have 1 son and 1 daughter. They're very strict. If their kids mess up even at all, they literally make them sit in their room, and as punishment, they have to read Bible verses over and over. Other than that, you guys already know the gist of this if you saw my last episode of Wife Swap. Make sure you check that out to get some more context of the other side of this episode. But without any further ado, let's get into this. And I already know this one's gonna be a doozy. I'm gonna be pretty angry, I feel, watching this family.
Dustin, would you come out and do the trash, please? So you don't want to come out and take out the trash?
Not yet.
So this little brat you see here is named Dustin, and he is the son of this family who is following very closely in his father's footsteps. So the way this family works basically is you have the dad up top, who is the leader and sole decision maker for the family. He apparently also works this incredibly hard job, and therefore, whenever he comes home, he can't do a single damn thing around the house. He can't clean, he can't cook, none of it. All of that is the women's job in his mind, aka his wife and his daughter. So meanwhile, this little bratty son of his literally gets to sit in his room and claim that he's cleaning his room while playing with this, I don't know, coat hanger, whatever the hell he's playing with, and all he has to do, his one chore, is to take out the trash. Meanwhile, his older sister, who is a teenager, has to do all of the cleaning and cooking around the house when mom isn't there, and he literally has no responsibilities. But because he's following in his daddy's footsteps, he just sits here and acts like he doesn't have to do anything, because everything around the house that he simply does not have any interest in doing is the woman's job.
Christine's getting worse and worse. She just asks me stuff that I don't want to do.
And this is a hilarious take from this little brat. I will be referring to him as a brat this entire episode because he's a spitting image of his father and following, like I said, in his footsteps. Just pure misogyny and simply looking down on his female family members. Notice how he says, she keeps asking me to do stuff I don't want to do. It's such an idiotic take because I want to fill you in, buddy, and especially I want to fill in your dad on this. Nobody wants to do any of this stuff, all right? Nobody wants to sit in the kitchen and toil away for their entire family's dinner and also clean the toilets while they're gone and all this other grimy crap. Nobody is taking their time out of their day to do that for fun. So yeah, there are certain things in life you have to do, but sharing the responsibilities with your spouse or with your family members, especially when they're women, is something that a real man does. And I'm sorry that this guy's super religious, bigoted father isn't teaching him that. It's kind of sad, honestly. So you're probably wondering what this father's like. Well, basically he looks like a spitting image of Jason Dill, a pro skater, but he is not quite chill like Dill, all right? Let me tell you that. This guy is so strict and has such a rigid personality that everybody in his family is simply afraid of him. And like I said in his intro, he doesn't do anything around the house, but if his daughter or son step out of line for a moment and mess up, like kids and teenagers often do, he locks them away in their rooms, has them recite Bible verses, and he basically controls them through fear and gains his power from that, which is, it makes sense just knowing how this guy lives his life, but it's sad to see it happening this way.
He thinks that the way things are supposed to be is the woman's in the kitchen doing all the chores and all that. Not in my world, baby.
And the woman you just saw is the rocker mom. She belongs with the family that we saw in the last episode, and she is very against this mindset, so it will be very interesting to see how they clash in this episode. I'm sure they're going to be butting heads pretty much at every point.
My wife, she cooks every day. Christina doesn't cook every day. My wife cleans every day. She doesn't.
At my house, we all pitch in and we all work together.
And this guy claims that this woman could never walk in his wife's shoes because she's not nearly as slave-like as my wife is. I got my wife just down pat at this point. She knows what she needs to do and how she needs to do it, and she knows if she don't do it right, I'm gonna be mad, and trust me, you do not want to see me mad. That's basically what this freaking jerk-off just said.
She'll never walk in my wife's shoes. Winnie will never leave the kitchen like this. Not trying to be rude.
Yep, okay.
And then he's over here literally standing to the side in his dumbass looking hat. Gotta hate this guy's face. Just talking down to this woman while she's doing the jobs that he's too wussy to do himself because he's a man and he shouldn't have to do this stuff like cleaning the kitchen spoons. Of course, I eat with all this silverware and all that, but I don't clean it. That's someone else's job. So he's standing here to the side, kind of lecturing her and telling her how everything she's doing is not good enough. And it's just so funny. You see so often on this show how often grown adults are just straight up bullies. This guy is standing over here just trying to lord over over this woman and strike fear through her heart while she's doing something that he doesn't have the balls to do. So that's how most of this first week went, honestly. She followed along with the rules. She was the subservient little house slave that he wanted. And finally, it's time for the rule changes. And that's where this dude really shows his true colors even more and how much of a grown man version of a baby he truly is. So the first rule is that basically the kids get to dress a little bit more, you know, out there. They don't have to dress up in their little church-going clothes 24/7 because he needs to have his kids look like dorks all the time. So finally, they're gonna get, you know, some personalized style. He has an issue with that because then that takes away some of his control. So what's the next rule? That the kids are gonna be homeschooled for the next week. Kind of an odd choice, but it's what this rocker woman does with her kids, as we saw in the last episode. Not very well, might I add. But this dude straight up says that's not happening. So we have another case where the father of this show, who signed up for this show, might I add, like, you know what you're getting into at this point. He is not following the rules and basically ruins this entire experiment by not allowing this woman to make any new rules this week. What the hell did this guy expect from this show? Did he think that he was just gonna have some new hot wife for 2 weeks who was gonna listen to everything he said, and then when rule change happened, he could just say, no, I'm the man of the house, I say what goes, I don't care how many cameras are here, I ain't doing it? Because that's not how it works. Well, actually, it is how it works for him, but it's frustrating that it does. And the final change is that she gets these kids some musical instruments. I just want you to look at this man's face and his reaction at seeing his children experiencing pure joy and excitement for once in their life. Granted, it's not something that he wants them to do, but just look at the hate and the passion of anger in his eyes. This is somebody who should not have children and somebody who is epically failing their family as a result of his strictness and closed-mindedness. What an absolute coward. Literally, this is a trash parent right here.
What's number one say?
It says Bill will cook dinner.
Right, so that rule's gone.
Bill's making Brittany cook, so I don't feel like I have any say-so here at all.
And then the next day, literally, I don't even think it's the next day, it's later that day, you got this dude sweeping for 2 seconds. He throws a little hissy fit over that because I'm sure, like I said, he goes away and he works all day. He's slaving away, making ends meet for the family, so he shouldn't have to do this stuff. But now it comes time for him to cook, and he draws a firm line in the sand here saying, I am not gonna cook. I am not a woman. You don't see no big pair of boobs on my chest here. I ain't finna go in the kitchen and whip us up a meal, all right? That's something I don't do. Like, what a dumbass take. Anyways, he throws his fit over that, and I honestly think it's because of the fact that he truly does not know how to cook, and he would have embarrassed himself in front of this woman and his own children by not even knowing how to turn on the burner on his oven or something. That is the pure reason why he is fighting so hard against cooking a meal for his family. Also, you call yourself a parent and you can't cook a meal for your kids? What happened if, God forbid, something happened to your annoying ass wife we saw in the last episode, dude? You'd be screwed, and your kids would be even more screwed than they are now, having you as a normal father with 2 parents. God, you're a dumbass.
Nothing's ever going to change for Brittany until she gets out of this house. She's going to be the one that's pressed into the woman's work. It's just absolutely disgusting.
And what kind of example is this setting for your kids? You have some adversity in front of you and some change that you need to adapt to, which is something every human should have the skill set to do. You have to be able to roll with the changes of life. That is simply something you cannot control. There are going to be big things that change in your life. And he's telling his kids, you know what? When that happens, you got to buckle down and stick with what you know and remain ignorant and don't try to adapt to your situation at all, and also fight against anybody that tries to improve your life. That's literally the message he's giving to his children. It's insane. And I agree with the mother here. This girl is frankly screwed at this point because she's going to reach an age, probably 18, where she is finally her own adult. She's going to start making some decisions that fall out of line with her parents, and they're going to disown her. So basically, they got a free house maid for 18 years of her life, treated her with utter disrespect. Remember in the last episode, the mom called her own daughter Bratney, made up a nickname for this girl because she is so rude, apparently. I haven't seen any of it personally, and neither were you because there's no clips of this girl being a rude person. If anything, she's a little angel on this earth, and her younger brother is the brat. I can't stand that freaking kid. But yeah, this is gonna be a hard life for this girl if her parents continue to be this way, which it seems they will be.
Christina needs to do something.
I would not live in this environment. No way. I'd be packing my bags and I'd be gone.
And then the freaking mini-me. Speaking of this little brat, this little kid is literally having to make himself a sandwich for the first time in his life. And now he's all angry. He's on dad's side. Like, finally, this kid has some passion in his heart. And he's like, you know what? Christina needs to get off her butt and do something. I can't believe I gotta smash these 2 pieces of bread around these, you know, slice of cheese and little bits of meat and gotta put mayo on it myself. I just want to eat the damn thing. I don't want to have to make it. Like, dude, this kid is growing up to be as big of a loser as his dad. sad. That is the saddest part of all of this. So then we have a huge event here. Because the father said no to them going to shop for clothes, the new mom is like, you know what? I'm gonna pick you up from school, which you have to continue to go to. I can't homeschool you because your father won't let us do any of these new rule changes and refuses to play along with the whole spirit of this show. I'm gonna take you to a tattoo parlor and have you guys put on some non-permanent tattoos, which for those of you who have never done this, somehow this has evaded you your entire life. The process of that is it is basically a sticker that you put over your skin and rub it with hot water, and it stays on your skin for, I don't know, maybe a day. Some of the nicer ones are a few days, but they pretty much scratch off at the instant sign of contact with your skin. So really not a big deal, and what happens next will blow your freaking mind as a result of this choice.
But Dustin phones his dad to tell him what the women are planning.
Do what? Bye.
And Dad is having none of it.
You op! You literal, oh my god, I hate this kid. I have never hated a child more on this series than this little rat-faced boy right here. He calls his daddy. He says, Daddy, I can't believe it. They're taking me and Sissy to go get semi-permanent tattoos. I'm scared. Come get me. Like, this is the type of guy who sees, you know, he goes to a party and people are doing party things, and then he calls his mom and is like, oh, they're getting turned, Mom. Come pick me up. Like, you know what you signed up for. Shut the hell up, dude.
We're going home because your daddy called and said if we didn't come home, he was going to get the cops after us.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
No one's in trouble.
So in response to this guy says, come home right now. Bring my children back. You ain't taking them to no tattoo parlor. I'm gonna call the cops on you if you don't bring them back. And it leads to this giant fight where he equates taking them to a tattoo parlor to do this, which obviously there is no actual tattoo process happening here. She couldn't get away with that, nor would she try to do that to him. But he thinks that she's trying to steal him away, make him into some other devil worshippers, just like his wife probably thinks of her family. This guy is the biggest baby, the biggest grown adult baby I've ever seen. And I have no idea what he does for a job, but I guarantee you he has a pretty cushy, easy job that he goes and does to get away from his family, and then uses that as his excuse to come home and verbally berate them 24/7 / force them to do everything he doesn't want to do in his life, like a freaking coward.
Now, you're not going to take my daughter to a tattoo parlor, ever.
I didn't take her to a
You
tattoo
damn right
parlor.
you didn't. And you better be glad she wasn't going into a tattoo parlor.
What are you afraid of?
And he says we, but it really is just me. And what I say goes. And this is like one of those most mind-blowing things where I'm just confused at why people like him have children. I know why. It's because he wants little house servants, like I said, and little sycophants, if that's how you pronounce it, that want to say yes to everything he says and makes him feel smart and important when he's not. And he's really just a little blight on humanity at this point. But the worst part of this is that he thinks he's doing no harm by raising his kids in this way. But I'm sorry, you can already tell he's raising his son to be a little mini-me version of him that is going to further mess up his family when he chooses to go out and have kids, and he is drastically failing his family by teaching them the things that he's teaching them and making them adhere to his strict guidelines of life. It is sucking the fun out of everything in his family. His daughter hates his guts, he hates her guts back apparently, and there's just no love here. And then we follow a very similar arc that we see in this show a lot, where the dad pops off, shows that he's a chauvinist pig and just bigoted and ignorant overall, and then has some self-reflection in a room over and is like, you know what, I might have been a little bit too rude. I just wish we could come together and just be nice. And he has the balls to say, I wish we could have an adult conversation and come to some middle ground and see where each other's perspectives, you know, might clash and try to work through it. And I don't know if you realize this, you freaking moron. That's what the point of this show is. And you not listening to her rule changes or allowing her to make rule changes, basically, you know, not doing the show properly is what's causing that, all right? This is enough anger. They keep going. They go on a little ride, and this is honestly heartbreaking. Brittany, aka Bratney, talks about how often her mom basically says she hates her guts, and she notices when her parents have a bad day at work, they come home and they take it out on her. She is the black sheep of this family, and I'm going to tell you the same thing I did in last episode. The reason this is happening is because she is the one, unlike her brother, who sees right through their BS and their performative, you know, Christianity when it comes to how good they are as people. Clearly you're not good people when you freaking berate your daughter and say that you hate her and also make her live as a maid in your house, doing all of your chores that you don't want to do as a grown-ass adult. She sees through all the BS. She knows that they're just acting to be these pure holy people, and instead they are the opposite. And because of that, they have ostracized her because they can't make her fall in line, much like her little brother. And it's sad to see, but I just want to say one thing to my viewers out there. You know, I often don't try to be too personal with you guys, but if you find yourself in a similar situation, I just want to let you know you are not the problem, all right? Your parents are the problem. They should have never had children with the emotional immaturity that they probably possess. And I'm sorry that you're in that position, but trust me, you thinking on your own and forming your own opinions outside of what your parents do is a sign of you growing up and being a mature adult and looking at the world through your own lens. So continue doing that. I applaud you, and I'm so sorry if you're in that scenario. Anyways, now it's time for the parents to meet. I kept this out of the last episode because it's rather brief, but let's see how it goes.
She was just talking about how often you tell her that you hate her.
That's a two-way street, and it just goes on, and it's wrong.
And this is such a stupid take from this mom. God, I hate seeing her face, and I'm mad I gotta see it again here. But this is not a two-way street, all right? You are the parent, they are the child. The child has the room and the ability to lash out and be emotional. That's what children do. And you as the parent are the one that's supposed to mend that. You don't go out and get to say, I hate you to your child and then expect them to love you back. That just doesn't work that way.
I feel like the kids are afraid of Bill and Bill's reaction, and perhaps you are too a little bit.
I don't like confrontation.
And you can see this woman's brainwashed too. I mean, she's being told to her face that everybody in the family is afraid of this guy as the head of household, and she just is like, I don't like confrontation. In fact, I kind of like it the way it is. I like being a mindless robot that doesn't have to think for myself, and I just let my husband be the bully. It's pretty nice.
You can't come into someone's house and ask your children.
You can if you sign up for a show.
Tough crap.
And they're literally like, dude, you signed up for the show. Why didn't you let my wife make any actual changes that are gonna like impact your family for this week? You literally didn't play along at all. And his response again is just tough crap. This guy's such a loser. You are such a man-child, man.
I don't see a reasonable man in front of me. Not the man that you described.
Let's go. No, we're done. We're done. Nope.
And against the producer's wishes, this grown man storms off after being confronted for not being a real man like he says he is and not being able to handle a little bit of change and adversity, which is so scary for him. And again, this is a control issue. I have said everything I pretty much need to say about this guy, but I want to know what you guys thought of this down in the comments below. Quite an action-packed episode, and I'm sure you can see why now. In the future, I think I'm going to split up these into 2 parts so you can see each side. No offense to anybody who has, different various faiths. I always implore everybody to practice whatever they want, but just don't be such a closed-minded person like this guy is. He's really letting his family down. Shout out to my patrons who have shown mad support over there. Appreciate you guys supporting me over there. And if you watched all the way through this video, comment Grim Squad for life and drop a like if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and until next time, peace out.